Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back again with another motherfucking episode, man. Ooh. All right, let's get it, man. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die Podcast. We got the crew with us, man. The full crew. Dre and AJ, man. How first and foremost, hey, there you go. Hey, but how y'all man feeling tonight, bruh? Like life is good with y'all?
Can't complain, man. Woke up another day. You know what I'm saying? We here. It's Tuesday, almost middle of the week. Shit, we here.
Yes, sir. AJ, how you feeling?
Feeling refreshed. Good trip out of town. You know.
You,
Miami.
I'm about to say you want to be specific, boy.
I wasn't gonna pinpoint the location, but yeah, you know, South Beach with the vibe.
Yeah, for real. Nah, Bible study, bro. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying?
With the blends, you know,
Exactly,
Bible
man.
study, get close to the God.
Already, boy. You got a bob in one hand and a strawberry daiquiri in the other junk. One of them.
Hey, definitely had some strawberry daiquiris at the pool this weekend too.
There you go. I
With the
had
Casamigos in there.
Casamigos, man. So is your go-to when you down there? It's the two frozen joints, right? I forget the name of them. Wet Willie's and
Fat Tuesdays.
Fat Tuesdays. Which one is your go-to, bro?
Man, I don't touch South Beach, dog. Like South Beach is the ghetto, in my opinion. You know what I mean? When I was younger, yeah, like it was Fat Tuesdays, it was Wet Willies. But now that I'm older and I've reached a point of growth,
Growth.
I don't touch that strip at all, bro. Like anything is possible to happen over there. You could end up getting shot trying to get a dagger.
Oh my
you know
goodness,
what I mean?
that's a
In the
fact.
broad daylight. That's
You could, say,
the hood.
you could catch him in Brickell in Miami.
That's exactly what I say. I'm in Brickell. Exactly. Every time I go down there, I stay in Brickell.
Yep.
I'll be in Midtown, Wynwood, South Beach. Only had to hit it to go to one club. Went to Mr. Jones. Shout out to Mr. Jones for taking all my money Friday. But yeah.
Oh man. So let me tell y'all about a situation about I think it was Fat Tuesdays, right? And Dre, I told you before the show I was stressed out, and this shit had me like I had a real live headache before we even started. But the way this is going, bro, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm gonna just let it go because the headache is fading away. Yes, the headache is fading away, right? But this one situation we was out south. What is it? 2021. We went out South Beach, 2018. I will never forget the damage that was done. I think it was at Fat Tuesdays, bro. One of my men was out there. It was three of us on that trip. One of our men went to Fat Tuesdays the night before we going back home. He just want to turn up, and I don't blame him. I'm over here at some random ass bar. I forgot the name of that joint. It's like it got the frog on it. I can't even remember the name of it. Senior something. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm over there. They're at Fat Tuesdays. I don't know, between the time that I linked back up with them, which was probably like 2 hours, this man didn't had 2 or 3 drinks from Fat Tuesdays. I seen the one of my men that was with him. So it was only 3 of us. I seen the other guy. That entire night, it's probably like 12 midnight at this point. I ain't seen him like for the next 12 hours. We had a flight in the morning. So I'm sitting here calling him. He ain't picking up the phone. Our other dude, I ain't seen him. And he was with him. They was walking back home. All of a sudden, they get distracted and he gone. So we over here thinking the worst, like, bruh, what the hell happened to Nick? I said his name. That was an accident. Senior Frog. Appreciate you, Disco. Senior Frog. Disco knows something about the South Beach, man. But I'm like, what the hell happened with so-and-so? And I'm just like, bruh, I don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to be no asshole. But look, this flight is in 30 minutes or an hour, and I got somewhere to be. Are you sure that you about to find this man? Because I don't want to leave just yet. But my man swore up and down. He was like, go ahead, bro, catch your flight. Because I know you got work. You can do what you got to do. I just started my new job, so I'm like, I can't fade. I gotta try and find a way to get home. And they're like, I'm gonna find them, bruh. We gonna be good. I go home, and this is now like close to 18 hours. We had to start calling his folks because we was like, bruh, I'm gonna just let y'all know right now, we don't know where he at. Basically, long story short,
ID channel.
yeah. Long story short, bruh, we end up getting in contact with him. I get in contact with him probably a total of like 16, 17 hours after the incident happened. I call this man and he acting like nothing happened. Like, hello? What's good, bruh? I'm like, nigga, did you not know you was gone? You was missing for 16, 18 hours? He say, bruh, I don't want to talk about it. What happened? Long story short, he went to Fat Tuesdays, drunk so much, blacked out, passed out on some random person's couch. He didn't even know where he was at. He couldn't call nobody because he didn't know where he was at.
He had an angel with him that day.
He had an angel with him, bruh. And it was people in the house that he crashed at, and they didn't do anything. They ain't rob him. They ain't do nothing. So he was just passed out on the couch, bruh. I'm like, son, I never ever want to get that drunk in my life. Yeah, I got close.
We drinks with Fat Tuesdays. That's like 3 Slurpees, but with liquor in it.
Hey, he was going through it. He had the time of his life apparently. And I heard some stories about what happened before he blacked out. I'm gonna spare him because he ain't even here to defend himself. So I'm gonna leave it alone right there, man. Hey, but
South Beach ain't no joke.
It is not. It is not. Which means I need to go back soon because I miss it. So yeah, rest in peace to Cole Brennan, right? I hate we had to transition to this, but rest in peace to Cole Brennan because this news broke just a few hours ago, right? We don't know the cause of this of his death. He was only 37 years old. I tried to look it up before the show started, right? And as far like they're not reporting it either. The couple sites that I looked at, they just talked about a rehab facility and that he relapsed. Oh, it does. Okay, so this one says this random CNN says that he was in the hospital due to an overdose. So, I guess without making assumptions, you could just kind of read what that tells us. But anyway, we're not even digging into that. Rest in peace to Cole Brennan, man. And I brought that up not just to to pay our respects, but also at the same time to talk about the short stint that he had with us because apparently. He was kind of like, and I remember this because I liked him too, but he was kind of like that figure that people thought he was more than what he was, man. And Dre and AJ, I'll let y'all take this away because, you know what I'm saying, y'all the OGs of the show, man. I'm going to let y'all talk about what that time was like in the 2000s, bruh, talking about Cole Brennan and kind of what he could have been in Washington.
I mean, no, Cole. Funny thing about Cole Brennan is the quarterback talk that you see everyone get all upset and up in oohs and ahs for. He kind of birthed these debates that where you buy into the little guys, the quarterback for the Washington football franchise. Cole Brennan was the quintessential figure that you think about when you think about our fan base hyping up the little guy. He was before. He predated John Beck, the Rex Grossmans, all of those guys, and he was the training camp legend. I mean, to this day, we still can remember everyone just getting behind Cole Brennan because of that one preseason game he had. And like I said, so when you think about the quarterback debates today, I think he's the root of all of the discussions you see about QBs here in DC now.
What was this extreme skins thing I heard of? I seen this tweet that you put out there, right? And one of the comments, I wish I could give credit to the person, but one of the comments actually pertained to like them hyping up Brennan on extreme skins. A lot of people are aware of it. I've heard of it. I never experienced extreme skins, man. Tell me about this shit, cause I'm very interested. AJ, I need to hear from you too.
AJ probably know, but I got Jamal because Jamal, you know, you're the younger crew here.
Yeah.
Cole Brennan, he birthed a thread on the legendary extreme skins called the Cult of Colt. where it was a big fan base of his that called themselves the Call to Coat. Now, this wasn't something that other people named them. This was something they were proudly naming themselves, that they were the Call to Coat, even though he didn't last much after preseason. But to this day, like, matter of fact, responding to my tweet, I had a guy on there that said he started a podcast called Call of Coat. So they still have it going. Like this, he's with Hogs Haven, I think he is. That's what he said. But that's how big this thing is. Still to this day that you have a Cult of Coat thing from referencing from his little short stint in Washington. That's how crazy the mania. It was almost Jeremy Lin levels here.
AJ, talk to me, bro.
Yeah. I mean, with the whole Colt Brennan thing, rest in peace to him. Prayers to his family. I never got into it, but it definitely was a cult of fans that wanted him to be so much more. They probably rooted for him more than his own parents, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, yeah, extreme skins board, message board, I try to stay away from all of that. That's when I knew, like, people within the Washington Redskins football community were delusional, that they really thought this dude was going to come in here and be a starting quarterback. And the way that they were hyping him up, I was like, I can't take this. But, as you see, Washington still doesn't have a quarterback. Yeah. And they're kind of doing the same thing with Taylor. Tyler?
Yeah, Taylor.
Is it Taylor?
Taylor, yeah, I think Taylor Heineke.
So, they're going to run that man into the ground as well.
Now that I actually, AJ, I think I really agree with you, bro, because I mean, in Washington, as long as I've known, and clearly it existed back in the late '80s too. The most popular quarterback here is the backup. So if Fitzpatrick ain't doing his job, it's gonna be even worse for Heineke, because that motherfucker's gonna have to perform like as soon as possible. Which is, I mean, look, if you're a fan of Heineke, you know what I'm saying. I liked what I saw in one game, but if you're a fan, 2 games. But if you're a fan of him, you look, if it's Patrick don't get the job done, you better sure as hell hope that Heineke prove you right, because it's going to be a lot of motherfuckers on Twitter that's going to be on your ass. Tell you that. That's kind of crazy.
One game, you get a 1-game trial, and it might not be regular season.
No bullshit, bro. No, matter of fact, hold on, wait. We get two preseason games this year, right? Or is it 3?
I think it's 3. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's definitely playing at this point. It ain't no hiding. So, and we're impatient. We're generally impatient as a fan base. So what you see in preseason is going to be the verdict. It's going to be the verdict on all these quarterbacks.
That first series they throw his ass out there, he better be 7 for 7 with a touchdown on that joint.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And so I guess we can go ahead and get started, right? Because before I get started with my quote of the week, did y'all have anything for quotes of the week, man? Before I talk about this quarterback situation.
You got the floor, brother.
Oh, I got the flow. All right. So here we go, right? Quote of the week comes from Stephen A. Smith. And it's kind of crazy. Like, we all know that Stephen A. is the, I guess the term, the shock jock guy. He and especially when it comes to football, he's the guy who knows his ins and outs of the basketball. He can break that down to a T. Football is a little bit different. I give him his credit because he knows people, but when it comes to breaking it down, he does the best that he can. I put it that way. But this is what Stephen A. Smith said. And I want everybody's opinion. If you in the chat, let me know how you feel about this, right? But fellas, Stephen A. starts out with, I don't even know what day this was, but it was this week. Outside of not having a name, I'm going to tell you this might be the perfect landing spot. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, their defense is big time. They're in the NFC least. So by default, the fact that Aaron Rodgers would even go to that division would guarantee them a division title. Aaron Rodgers signed his name on a dotted line to be a member of the Washington football team today. Within the hour, it would be a foregone conclusion that Dallas ain't winning the division. Fellas, is this Washington roster really just a quarterback away from Super Bowl contention? Where are y'all at right now?
I mean, I'll go ahead and start first. If you have an elite quarterback with this roster, you're definitely in the Super Bowl contention. I mean, in my opinion, NFC is wide open. Tampa's solid, but it's hard to repeat as a champion, I feel like if Washington had an Aaron Rodgers type quarterback, an elite quarterback, why wouldn't they be away from the like? I'm trying to get my words together, but I'm so excited about Aaron Rodgers. Like y'all know, I've been on this Aaron Rodgers thing so hard.
He was trying to ask that question for 2 weeks.
Y'all really about to go into the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick when Aaron Rodgers out there? Go get my man. Bring him to the East Coast. You feel me? But they're really a quarterback away if they have elite talent at that position. You know, you put Aaron Rodgers around the talent that's already on the offensive side of the ball, and he makes guys look better than what they really are. Then you add that defense, Super Bowl immediately. And of course, also help other players want to come in. I definitely feel like if they made a move for Aaron Rodgers, probably might want to start booking your flights for LA.
Hey, Devontae did say, like he was interviewed either today or yesterday. He was like, "Look, if Aaron Rodgers is traded, Devontae Adams, speaking of, he was like he had to make some. So, to your point, AJ, about people like leaving and being influenced off of Aaron, like he would have to make some decisions about his future with Green Bay. And he told people straight up in the media, like that's something that I'm gonna have to really think about.
Cool.
Where you at with Drake?
I mean, for me, I said this like I think Kevin Sheehan posted the comment about would you trade 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and he said Matt Ioannidis for Aaron Rodgers. I was like, hell yeah.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely. If that's all they want, I'm like, hey, you sure you don't want more? You know what I mean? Because and then a couple of people on Twitter came and asked me, they said, hey, but you think we really, same question, Jamal, they were like, you think we really one player away? I'm like, at this point, this is what you've been doing the last few years. Now, if you would have asked me this question in 2019, are we equipped to take on Aaron Rodgers with giving up so many assets? I would have told you no. I wouldn't have felt like that was the roster ready for just one quarterback to take them over the top. But literally what you've been doing the last couple of years is building this roster for this. And this is what people have talked about for years. Even when you talk about drafting quarterbacks in the first round, people always say, oh, well, you need to build the rest of the team first. But that's what we did. Like we literally been building we built the defensive line, one of the 2 most important position groups on an NFL roster. And we got, in my opinion, a pretty solid offensive line. I mean, they were solid last year despite not having a lot of big name guys. And, a lot of people thought they were going to be a weak unit, but you had guys like, we'll probably talk about him later, but Cornelius Lucas, who played better than you would have thought he would have played. Wes Schweitzer, he played well in the interior line. Brandon Scherf is oft injured, but when he's on the field, he's still a good player. Morgan Moses is a solid right tackle. And then Chase Roullier at center, he's good. And then you knew you had Terry McLaurin on one side. Now you went out and you've added Curtis Samuel as a weapon. You now know that you have Antonio Gibson. That's a damn good running back. He's still young. You have Logan Thomas, who's shown potential at the tight end spot. And then we just drafted Diami Brown. So we have offensive weapons comparable to what he had in Green Bay. I mean, Devontae Adams is superior to any wide receiver we have in a roster. But outside of that, if you're looking at what we have comparable to what Green Bay have, we have similar weapons to what Green Bay have. Plus, we have highly touted defense at this point. So yes, in
better
my
defense.
opinion,
They suck.
He is yes. In my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is a guy that takes you to that next level. Right now, what we are as a team is a fringe playoff team. Like, yes, we could make the playoffs, or we could be on that outside bubble. Aaron Rodgers, it makes you 3 to 4 games better, in my opinion.
Yeah, so a couple house things. Giving you more. I'm assuming this is L'Oreal, man. I appreciate you for following, checking in. Thank you for tuning in for a second. Disco had a few things. First thing first, I laughed when he said stop trading Matt Ioannidis because I saw his tweet online. I forgot exactly what it was about, but he had a good little case to defend Matt Ioannidis. But look, Disco, you talking about trading Matt Ioannidis for Aaron Rodgers? I'm taking that shit 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. Also, Disco mentioned, we're elite QB away. We have the low self-esteem after doing so many years of suckage. We keep telling ourselves we're not good and to keep team building, which is kind of something that a lot of people fall into a trap I actually agree with. Jared was good. Jared He mentioned that he thinks Rodgers elevates the team. Essentially, question is how deep in the playoffs you get. But one of the things that he mentioned is he's not a fan of moving multiple firsts, seconds, and key players for a 37, 38-year-old quarterback.
So
AJ,
Jamal,
yeah,
let me chime in with that. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is how old?
I think
37?
he's around 37, going on 38.
Tom Brady is how old?
42?
That's where I was about to go.
Okay. So at the end of the day, if you're being protected, you're getting the ball out quick enough, you're not really getting hit. So all this, I don't want us to trade away the future. Do you want a fucking Super Bowl or not? Like, that's really what it boils down to. Like, what are you building up your roster to get to the point of a Super Bowl? If you have the assets, why not move it for a known commodity? Like, I'm going to give up picks for a known commodity anytime. If people have not noticed, if fan bases have not noticed, especially this fan base from the NFL, look at who's getting traded. You know, teams are trading for Jamal Adams because they know what the hell he can do. He's worth those draft picks. Teams are moving for Jalen Ramsey. They know what he can do. Teams are moving assets for DeAndre Hopkins and so on. You know, Matt Stafford, because you know what they can do. You really don't know what these kids can do at the end of the day. You're taking a risk. But if I can go and get the NFL MVP of the 2020 football season, why wouldn't I do that? Does it really matter if I move 3 years of first-round picks and a couple seconds if I'm winning championships? It does not matter. I'm putting together this roster to compete for a Super Bowl. That is my end-of-the-day goal. I'm not trying to be out here building a franchise as if I have a whole bunch of time in my hands. Coaches are privileged with that type of time, especially a guy like Ron Rivera. He probably has 2 years to show what he can do. If he can't get the job done, he's asked out. And we really don't know what he can do without an elite quarterback. We had Cam most of his tenure in Carolina. He probably all of them know that they need a veteran presence at the quarterback position and an elite level talent. I think they're going to do what they got to do, but at the same token, it's like if you have analysts and experts already projecting them to win the NFC East with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke as potential quarterbacks, of course, if you bring in Aaron Rodgers into the fold, an MVP who's at a top tier level, still right now 37, and could possibly continue to play into his mid 40s, you should be a Super Bowl prediction team. Like, you should be in that conversation.
For sure.
Because Aaron Rodgers has only been a defense away from going to the Super Bowl.
Here's where I'm at, right? When it came to the comment, Jared. So the only reason why I push back on not trading away draft picks, or not being a fan of trading away draft picks for that type of quarterback at that age. When you're trading for a veteran at that age and you're trading for a guy who is an elite talent, who's top 3, arguably top, the best quarterback in the NFL, like that's just the debate around the league. When you're talking about that type of caliber player, you know that if you're trading for him, you're ready to make that move for a Super Bowl push. This roster over the past couple of years has been transitioning, and I think to Disco's point, and that we have a mindset that we're just not ready yet. I think that's kind of the purpose of Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in here. We're hoping that we just get that wild card and get our way in. When you get Aaron Rodgers, you're not talking about just a wild card. You're talking about the 1 or 2 seed. That's where you're at. That's the difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick and you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers gives you that home field advantage potential. And then you talk about, all right, now we got home field advantage. Let's go win the Super Bowl. That's the difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick right now, because he's playing at a high level, and you're talking about Aaron Rodgers right now. He gives you much more than what you can expect with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But in addition to that, I think, fellas, the thing that a lot of people don't take into account is what Tampa did with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is 40-something years old. They don't care if he's going to be around 5 years from now. They're going for that 1 year, that 2 year, that 3 year chance of winning the Super Bowl. They went 1 for 1 already. Tom Brady's coming back. They went 1 for 1. Now they're trying to go 2 for 2 and maximize this. And Tom Brady's talking about playing until he's 45. So
Right.
if you're going 2 for 2, bro, I'm all for it. And all I need out of Aaron Rodgers if he comes to Washington, I need a motherfucker that's gonna be here at least 3 years. Even if he stays 3 years max, I'm perfectly fine with that because 3 years, you can tell me I had the best fun I've ever had as a fan in my life in those 3 years.
And Jamal, look at how Tampa did with Tom, man. They brought in Leonard Fournette. They brought in LaShawn McCoy.
Weapons.
They brought in Antonio Brown. They brought in other weapons to go with the pieces that's already there. And those things happen when you pay attention to your overall team and what the quarterback likes and what they want to surround themselves with talent. You know, it's going to continue to happen. You're going to get top-tier talent that's going to get released or traded within the season. And it's like, if you continue to add pieces on top of having that elite talent, it's like you're going to compete for a Super Bowl. When's the last time, as a fan and being alive, have you been able to say, yeah, my team can actually compete for a Super Bowl? I've never been able to say that in my lifetime, you know. When you add Aaron Rodgers,
it was 2000 last time. After the
you add Aaron Rodgers to a Washington football organization, he immediately becomes the best quarterback that ever wear burgundy and gold, ever.
Oh, like, and he had to play it down.
Top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one.
And it's like, how can you justify trading for Alex Smith a couple years ago and moving an asset like a Kendall Fuller, and now we're going to act like 2 or 3 years removed from that, oh, no, I want to keep my assets. I don't want to go big and go for Aaron Rodgers. Like, it just doesn't make sense. When I see it online, I'm just like, man, y'all definitely don't know what you're doing. Because if you was playing Madden and you got offered 2 first-round picks and Matthew Ioannidis for Aaron Rodgers, you would definitely accept on that trade on Madden.
Absolutely.
You ain't about to even hesitate.
I think it's funny though, just cause like in the sense of we're talking about how fickle. This is collective for everybody who's listening, everybody that's watching. This is collective, but we're talking about how fickle our fan base is in terms of our decision making. I think it's so funny how we see people say the reasons why they won't trade for Aaron Rodgers, and it's like the first thought in your head is it's Aaron Rodgers. So why is any doubt in your head, knowing that we need a quarterback, why is there any doubt in your head that you're saying we don't need Aaron Rodgers? Like, anybody can take Aaron Rodgers. Anybody would benefit from Aaron Rodgers, and you're saying that we don't need Aaron Rodgers? I think that's, I kind of think that's kind of, it's funny based on all of the scenarios in the offseason talking about, people went from wanting Tyrod Taylor, Cam Newton. They said, hey, man, let's give, including me, I was like, I'm not saying he's trash either, because that's my boy. Let's give Jameis Winston a shot. Where's Ryan Fitzpatrick at? Where's XYZ? Where's Jacoby Brissett? All these random quarterbacks. They even talked about Drew Lock being on the trading block. Like, let's get these guys. Y'all want to trade for Drew Lock. But said, nah, I'm not Aaron Rodgers, bro. Fuck that. I don't need that.
Come on, bro. Your money don't make no money. Your money don't make no money.
Can I say something on this? Because Disco's my boy. I like Disco. Good guy, good follow on Twitter. But Disco keeps mentioning Matt Ioannidis, which is cool. I wanted to get to that. No, I don't know if this is going to veer this into a different subject totally, but Matt Ioannidis is our best interior pass rusher, in my opinion. And you know, he's a great defensive lineman. He was a great pickup in the 5th round where we got him. But when you look at the defensive line as a whole, you're not going to be able to keep all of those guys, especially the interior guys. You got one guy coming off the bench. And last year, before Matt Ioannidis got hurt, he came off the bench in favor of Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. Now, here's the thing. I've been seeing this a lot, too, with the trade talks. A lot of people keep saying, why would you want to trade Matt Ioannidis? He's our best defensive lineman. In my opinion, Matt Ioannidis might be our best interior rusher from the defensive line, but he is not our best defensive lineman. Jonathan Allen gets a lot of disrespect on this app, and it's time y'all start appreciating him. That dude was our best defensive lineman by far. He was one of the best. If it wasn't for Chase Young,
I'm gonna contest you on that one, Dre.
Okay, I want to hear your response to this. But if it wasn't for Chase Young having the season he had, Jonathan Allen would have got a lot more attention last year because there was a couple of games where he was completely unblockable, but a lot of fans it went over a lot of their heads. Now, AJ, tell me what you got to contest to that.
I mean, outside of Sweat and of course Chase, bruh, Deron Payne is the truth. It's all gonna start making sense even more this season. I feel like with the addition of Chase Young and him playing next to Jonathan Allen, made Jonathan Allen look a little bit better. I honestly think the movable piece on the D line is Jonathan Allen, but Deron Payne can literally do anything you want him to do. It's just more so. It's just more so he got to get more repetition within the system. But this year, he's going to take off. He's going to be an All-Pro. That's how I look at it.
Okay, now AJ, you might be right. Now I agree because Deron Payne, in my opinion, I feel like he has the most potential of anyone on the defensive line. I think potential talent wise, Deron Payne is up here, but I feel like production wise, it's been Jonathan Allen here on the top, and then Deron Payne here.
So when we talk about production, are we talking about numbers or are we talking about our naked eye sees?
Well, more so in how effective they are in game planning. Like who does the defense look the game plan for more on that interior defensive line? And I feel like Jonathan Allen was one of those guys that kind of drew more double teams than Deron Payne did. But like I said, I feel like talent-wise and potential-wise, he's that guy on the defensive line. Now, if he puts it all together, I would agree 100%. I would not be shocked if he's All-Pro this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deron Payne definitely made bigger impact on their defensive line besides Jonathan Allen. I think everybody balled out, but so many things happen aside from like stats that you can actually go back and look at data-wise. But he was in that backfield all the time. He was blowing up plays. He was disruptive. You could see the explosion on pass rush. Downs like, I don't know. At the end of the day, you can't lose with what they got. And even Tim Settle's a dog too.
Agree.
He just don't get as many reps. So that's why you can part with a Matt Ioannidis or even a Jonathan Allen, whoever, because you also have Tim Settle on the bench that can come in and do the same exact thing. He's a big disruptive guy as well. Like, you're in a great position with the depth when it comes to the D tackle position.
I agree 100%.
Dog. Disco ended up responding saying, in all seriousness, Ioannidis is under contract until 2023. So you don't have to do anything but let his contract play out. And then he also mentioned that there's just other ways in which you can keep the line together because the salary cap is going up. That part I agree with because one of the things that I noticed, it was a projection, but there's presuming after everything, there's no major changes. 2022, you're looking at like 40-something million for the Washington football team. So that's clearly the potential. That's the part where they're trying to re-sign their own, assuming that they're around that number next year. So they like you said, they got options. Okay, where are we at? We can go ahead and move on to the shit we see on social media, right? And you mentioned Cornelius Lucas already, Dre. He kind of made some noise, man. And I want to see where y'all head is at with this one in terms of like how players are viewed. I mean, obviously the easiest answer, right, is stay off social media. But I'm not about to fucking tell no player, like, social media can be looked at as an outlet. And with that being said, for those who aren't aware, Cornelius Lucas saw something from Ian Rappaport. What day was it? This was May 10th, so yesterday actually. And he mentioned that Washington football team visits with former Bears offensive tackle Charles Leno is today, and it's a potential way to fill a big hole on the left side of the line. And obviously, Lucas took offense to that, just saying maybe just one day clowns will start putting respect on my name. As predicted, fans took offense to him being slighted and him expressing that he is slighted. I want to just, before I even pose a question, your general thoughts on how players react to things that can come off as disrespectful to them and just venting on Twitter. Like, that was benign. But where are y'all at with just in general how players can react and things like that, and how the fan base can take something that could be something so small or something understandable and them saying you need to shut the hell up and just play football?
AJ, you take that one first.
I mean, I think what a lot of people don't realize about these athletes are they're humans, you know? At the end of the day, somebody say something about you in your regular day life, you're probably gonna react back. So why wouldn't you when it's hundreds to thousands of people writing you derogatory comments and something that you put your hard work into? You know, you make a lot of sacrifices. You don't get to spend time with your family. You know, you miss out on birthdays, all those things. So you should take offense to it if you're passionate about your craft. You know, I've represented somebody within the Washington organization who, you know, he wanted to clap back even more, D'Angelo Hall, you know. But I mean, we did our little thing here and there on Twitter. You know, it might not have necessarily been with the fans per se, but you know, with other people that he competed against within the NFL, from the Richard Shermans to Des Bryant to, you know, Skip Bayless to whoever, like, at the end of the day, these are humans. You know, this shit really bothers them. I'm good friends with Rashad Breeland. You know, after that week 1 game against Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, his performance, it bothered him the whole season. You know, whenever I talked to him, it was bothering him because he was also seeing it on social media. He didn't know how to escape from that. Whatever, you know, you put your hard work and blood and sweat and tears into this, and you know, at the end of the day, I feel like speak your mind, but also be understanding that the words that you use are powerful. So if you are going to speak your mind, do it in a not necessarily professional way, but be mindful of what you're saying and who's watching you, because it goes a long way. But like with my clients or anybody that I just know in general and advise them, I tell them to speak your mind. This is the great thing about social media. It allows the talent to now have the platform to say what they want to say instead of your local news reporters or national reporters putting words in their mouths. Now they can directly go after people, whether it be, let's say, Bradley Beal and Kent Bazemore. You know, he can go directly at Kent Bazemore, and everybody can see that dialogue, that thread happen. Whereas back in the day, you didn't really know what was going on behind closed doors. I feel like it's the whole interaction for the fan base to see, but also fans got to realize, like, these guys are human just like me and you. They want to get an escape from football. They like video games. They like the party. I mean, think about it. If you had multi-million dollars in your bank account, you had no wife, no kids, wouldn't you be out in the club? Like, you trying to look for some work. You feel me? So it's just fans really don't get it. They think you're really just supposed to be about football all the time, where you're supposed to not care about what other people got to say. But these are humans, you know. Like, you ain't gonna talk shit to me, I'm not gonna say something back to your ass. Like, especially most of these guys grew up where in the hood. Come on.
Yeah. It's like us fans compartmentalize like the type of person that we see in terms of like an athlete. Like, you see athlete, all you know is athlete. You don't see anything else like you described, AJ. You don't see anything else outside of athlete. So when somebody says, wait, you're upset. Shit. Man, we ain't got time for that shit, bro. You got a game in a couple of weeks. You need to get your shit together, bro. Fuck you being upset. We need to win some games. And that's the first thing about it. It ain't no we, bro. Like, you a fan, we're a fan. It's not we. At the end of the day, that's just the reality of the situation, the harsh reality. But when it comes to these players, man, and I think that's one of the things that people just don't understand about social media sometimes, right? We get on there and we vent about minor shit. Like, that's probably not even related to our job, bro. And we say shit that we want to vent about all the time on Twitter, bro. We complain about fucking the person trying to speed in front of us just to get stopped at a red light. Like, they getting, like, people are complaining about some slight or talking about Virginia drivers and how they're terrible or some shit. Like, they complain about wild shit, but the dude is complaining about something that legitimately pissed him off in the second because Ian Rappaport has 1 million something followers, and he's talking about the Washington football team has a huge hole on the left side of their line. That is his job. You're talking about somebody who has a job to defend the left side, and he did okay last season. I'm gonna be bad too. Like, you slight me like that, bro, I'm gonna be fucking mad because you telling 1 million people that these motherfuckers have a hole on their left side of the line, bro. And it just really don't work like that sometimes, bro. So I understand this frustration as well, man.
All right, so look, here's my thing. We might need to add an idiot to the podcast because I feel like I relate to y'all too much. Like I get y'all opinions too much. We need an idiot to just disagree with. Like, so no, but like what AJ was saying, like that's why I wanted AJ to talk first because I know AJ has more perspective.
Yeah.
Knowing these guys personally and stuff, and he's absolutely right about the human aspect of it. Like when I seen the whole Cornelius Lucas thing going down, that was my first thought. Like my first thought was he's a human. Like he's viewing him as not being respected, which he's not, in my opinion. In my opinion, what I watched from Cornelius Lucas play the left tackle position last year, it was very adequate to the point where I didn't even know Cornelius Lucas was on the field. That's my favorite type of offensive lineman, is a guy that I don't know is on the field, because that means his name's not being called. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and that wasn't supposed to happen last year. Last year, we were supposed to have the weakest offensive line position group on the field last year. These guys were supposed to be trash. We started off the year with Garon Christian started left tackle, and we were. I mean, that left tackle, that left side of the offensive line was getting killed, and then Cornelius Lucas and I think Wes Schweitzer ended up taking over on the left side, and you stop hearing the same complaints you were hearing the first 2 to 3 games. And that could have been due to quarterback play as well. I mean, QB play can also have an effect on offensive line play as far as QB's holding on to the ball too long and you're getting beat, and you're going to notice the offensive lineman. But with Cornelius Lucas and Wes Schweitzer was on the offensive line, those were guys you were not expecting to do their job at the level that they were doing it at. Now, it may have been an average to an above average level, but it was a level that was good enough for this football team to succeed. I mean, you weren't seeing the quarterbacks getting killed, as much. You weren't hearing their names being called as much, which you want to see in an offensive line. So I completely understand where Cornelius Lucas is coming from. Now, on the flip side of that, I just think that, maybe he needs to, think about a couple of things before he posts, because this is the kind of backlash you're going to get. This is just the society we live in. Like, everybody, think they know your situation. Not everyone has empathy. And I think empathy is a big human trait that everyone can benefit from. Like, you have to put yourself into other people's shoes, but not everyone does that. I can do that. Like, I can put myself into Cornelius Lucas' shoes and say, I get why he's upset that guys like Ian Rappaport aren't recognizing him or saying he's the man, but a lot of people don't have that. So I feel like Cornelius Lucas can benefit from, just thinking before you post, because people are watching. But if it doesn't bother him, I mean, so what? It doesn't bother me. And only thing I got to say about a guy like Cornelius Lucas, keep showing it. Just go out there, keep doing your thing, do what you do, show it. I don't need to hear it anymore. I've seen what you can do. Now keep showing me that consistency, and people won't even talk about this anymore. We'll just know you're that dude if you can go out and be consistent at what you do.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know of it being a situation, but I mean, you play in the NFL with all these roster spots, man. Everybody's replaceable. Like, everybody's replaceable. So you got to understand that from a business standpoint. I think it's more so concerning from a Washington standpoint. Like, bro, you just bringing in a whole bunch of left tackles. Like, what's good? Like, when you decide to move on with Trent Williams for a 5th round pick, that I still hate that move. But you can't just keep bringing in a bunch of guys to play left tackle. Like, that's one of the most important positions on the football team. You just can't keep swapping out guys and experimenting. And then if you're gonna take Cosme in the 2nd round, he should be able to start immediately. If he can't, then use your 2nd round pick on somebody who can actually benefit the team immediately. Like, I don't know, man. Hey.
So a couple of things, man. Haiti Drill, what's going on, bro? Now Haiti Drill says he raised his hand and said, "I'm an idiot. Get me on the show." but Haiti, man, I thought you tapped out of the Scans talk, bro. You know what I'm saying? Last time we talked, you said, you know what I'm saying, you done moved on. Too many heartbreaks, bro. Which is, I mean, we in the same boat, but I'm still here. But anyway, let me know what you think about that. But Disco also mentioned, he said Logan Paulson said it last week. If you think if they're not trying to replace you, you're naive. And that's literally what I was about to get to, right? At the end of the day, Dre, you kind of said it. Compete is the bottom line with Cornelius. It's all about competing. However, you have to acknowledge the fact that not you. I'm talking to Cornelius. You have to acknowledge the fact that with them bringing in people, them trying to find solutions on the offensive line in general, you have to know that you were never secure in your job to begin with. You were already brought on to like be a depth piece, like based on your contract. You were brought in to be a depth piece. You definitely played well, clearly beyond that, and showed that you can start here. However, you'd be a fool, as everybody's saying here, you'd be a fool to just sit here and think, man, my job's secure. And people like Ian Rappaport should know that my job is secure and know that I'm going to be a starter. They don't know that shit, bro. You need to make your name, put your name out there, but not just for Ian, but for Ron Rivera, because Ron Rivera is always looking for competition and people to earn that number one spot. He claims, going back to the quarterback situation for a quick second, he says this season he's not going to make the same mistake he had last year. He's going to have that true competition. He's going to give Ryan Fitzpatrick that chance to start, but he's going to make sure that it's an open competition for everybody. That's not just the quarterback position. That is multiple positions on the team. And Cornelius needs to understand that it's okay to be frustrated, right? Like, it's okay to get that shit off your chest, but now you need to get back to work, because we're past that point now. Get it off your chest, get back to work, but like don't focus on what the other people are saying. Just get it off, go back to work, because it's perfectly fine to just vent for a second, bro. Perfectly fine. All right. Where are we at? Disco mentioned something. Cornelius has only one more year in his deal. 29 years old. Business. Compete. See where you stand. Completely agree, man. All right. So we're at the third segment, man. We're about to go ahead and get ready to wrap up, right? So the Washington Football Spotlight. There's two things that we're going to talk about. The draft, the post-draft power rankings, and a quick look at the receiver projections. I was going to do a mock schedule, but given that the schedule is going to release less than 24 hours, I mean, we don't have to really wrap our heads around something that's not going to be the case, right? So Hogs Haven listed, I think it was a multitude of outlets, and just gathered the information in terms of the power rankings and ranked where they ranked Washington and all of them. Long story short, Washington and the number of power rankings that they had for Hogs Haven, Washington was listed as high as number 8 in the power rankings and as low as number 24. So an average of middle of the pack, 16.2. I'm not going to go through the whole list of names or media outlets that ranked Washington. I'm just going to say, is Washington fairly ranked in terms of the average? Like, do y'all think that they're like around the middle of the pack, or are they a little bit better or a little bit worse than being 16th in the NFL?
I hate power rankings.
Hey, look, they exist, man. They exist. They exist. People feed into them.
Yeah. I don't look at them. I don't. I mean, I used to a while back. You know, it was fun to read that stuff. But I mean, these are just guys who watch the game just like us. In their opinion, they probably watch a couple of more teams than they do a certain more team, and they're gonna pick the guys that they probably know a division more than they know the rest of the league, and they're gonna pick the guys that they know more, and then the rest of the league, they're gonna pick the guys that they've seen do it more than often. So I mean, it's just all a prediction. It's just fun. But as far as me like putting much stock into it, like where we're ranked and what people think of us, like I just honestly I don't pay much attention to it.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go ahead right quick, because I will give an opinion on this. I think the ranking of 16th, right? My biggest thing is, where the hell is everybody else in the NFC East ranked? Because if you think we're like the average, we're talking about us being 16th, Washington football team being 16th. Ain't no way in hell, because Eagles and Giants didn't come out of this offseason being better than us. So it really comes down to Dallas. And the question is, where the hell are they ranking Dallas? I can understand this being middle of the pack, but I just don't see how the majority of people can view the top end or the competitor for the division champ in the NFCs. I don't see how they can rank them anything higher than middle of the pack as well. I guess quarterback may be the situation in terms of Dak Prescott coming back and being because when he was there, they was like a top 5 offense. So I guess like when you're looking at that aspect,
but Jamal, even with that, right?
Yeah,
they were a top 5 offense because they're playing behind so much. It's like, bro, you playing pickup, you should be throwing for like 400, 500 damn yards.
That's true.
So it's like, were they really a top 5 offense? Nah, they were playing pickup. So the whole thing is weird. And my bad for cutting you off, but I'm like, people really acting like Dallas Cowboys offense was what 1999 or 2000 Rams or something with Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner,
nah, they weren't.
Isaac Corey Holt. Like, the offense is not that good. They just been playing behind. So it looks like they're putting up crazy ass numbers, but in actuality, they suck. Like,
I think it's the overrating of Ezekiel Elliott. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Like, people are still talking about Ezekiel Elliott like it's 2018 or something. You know, that's what it is. I mean, even when you think about the Giants, Saquon Barkley, you say, okay, they got Saquon Barkley coming back. I think people are putting more value into what the running game brings to a lot of teams nowadays when it's more of a passing offense in the league. And you don't necessarily need a top 5 to top 7 QB to be a decent passing offense in this league. You just got to have a guy that knows where the hell to go with the ball. And, you know, an offense coordinator understands the strengths and weaknesses. So, I mean, that's why I see where they talk about those teams, but it's a crapshoot.
It is.
You never know. Injury happened, and you all screwed up.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I mean, shit.
One injury for a lot of teams.
Shit, look how south the Cowboys went though. I honestly think, bro, last year, because there was quite a few instances, bro. Like, yes, their offense they weren't really good. They had a lot of playing from behind type, but they also completed a lot of comebacks in that short period of time before Dak got hurt. So it's like, yes, they were playing from behind, but they also won a couple of those games where they came from behind. Or at least tied it up, because I can't remember what happened with the Atlanta game. I think they ended up winning that. And there was another game where they had to come from behind and ended up winning as well. But my point behind that is, it can be a crapshoot, but at the same time, when you're talking about certain teams, bruh, and certain offenses, like the staples of that offense doesn't change. You still have Dak. Dak was still a good quarterback, regardless of like how the offense in its entirety performed. Dak was still a good quarterback. Zeke is still there, and then you still have Amari Cooper, who goes missing or sporadically throughout the season. You never know when he's going to show up, but when he shows up, he's a playmaker. Like I said, I feel like the defense is going to end up being the biggest question mark. I think the way that they're transitioning back to a 4-3 helps everybody on that team. So that's the only reason why I would think, like, going back to the power rankings, that they can possibly be higher than 16th. But when it comes to the division, and we're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick and not Aaron Rodgers, which I hope somehow something happens. But when you're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Dak and then the rest of the Cowboys, like, you're looking for that middle of the pack, wild card type, 4th seed, NFC East type. Like, that's where you're looking at for this division. And it's gonna be interesting. 16th don't really faze me, and also I'm not really that impressed by power rankings myself. But it's just good to see like an average part where you see random power rankings, and they always have Washington at the 21st, 22nd, but an average of a collecting what I think it was 7 or 8 power rankings from different websites.
Yeah.
And you see that you're 16th. You know that there's not a lot of people out there who has you ranked as one of those terrible teams. You're still, from the average, you're still a decent team, and you have a good shot at making the playoffs.
But see, Jamal, here's the thing. Just as we've been talking about with, I believe a lot of a lot of the big guys and a lot of fans too, they look at offense. They don't really evaluate defense too much when they're talking about when they're making these predictions and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest example is the Buffalo Bills, who in the last last 2 years, who had the Bills as any kind of factor in the NFL? But it was their defense. Like until this past year, Josh Allen started to prove that he could be a franchise QB. But no one viewed Josh Allen as a franchise QB before last year, and the Bills went 10-6. Yeah, and that's the thing. See, people like AJ still don't view Josh Allen. So people like AJ and also people like myself, we look at the Bills and we look at the defense that they built. And who's the mastermind behind the Buffalo Bills? It's Sean McDermott, right? Yeah. He's the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Who did he coach under? And he's under the Ron Rivera coaching tree. This is what we're doing. So people are going to overlook you right now because everyone, in the mainstream view, they're looking at QB and what you can do at QB. And I agree to an extent, but they're also going to overlook the strengths that you have in your team too, like a defense. Defense is kind of it's overlooked these days in the NFL because everyone's looking at what you have on offense.
Yeah, definitely. You look at even with Buffalo, like you said, but like Stephon Diggs has improved Josh Allen all the way. I don't think it's anything Josh Allen did. It's now he got a wide receiver that's a dog, that's going to get open, and going to make plays, and it opens up the rest of the playbook for everybody else, for Cole Beasley to eat, for John Brown to eat, for the tight end to eat. And, they definitely need a better running game. But now you got a dog on the offensive side of the ball that can open up the rest of the offense. Then on defense, you got another dog at corner, and Tre'Davious White. You got a nice-ass safety put along with a great defensive team. You can't – it's hard to lose. You're going to be a better team. And that's where I'm just like, when once again, when I hear people saying that they wouldn't trade picks for Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, you need dogs. The only way you could be a competitive team and win in this league is with dogs. Look at Chase Young, a motherfucking dog. And what did he do? He improved the defense all the way. Like, everybody feels like a unit. You see the camaraderie between the guys. Everybody's in sync. All of that. You need dogs in order to win. Like, Patrick Mahomes is a dog. Tyreek Hill is a dog. Travis Kelce's a dog. Chris Jones, Honey Badger. Those are all dogs. Like, the more dogs that you have on your team, the more you can compete for, Super Bowls.
Sure. And L'Oreal agree with you all. The difference an animal makes on the team, and I kind of so she's a Ravens fan, and I think that's kind of like to that point is Lamar Jackson and the difference that he made with the offense and just the makeup of the team. And I think that Lamar is one of those guys where it's like it doesn't matter. Obviously, he has like the passing game is where he's struggling right now, but at the same time, every single week. That man is going to have you in each and every game. Like that offense is still a threat. Along with I don't know what the defense is going to look like this year, which is going to be interesting to talk about on all 32. But just in general, when you have those type of dogs on your team, it's not necessarily you'll always be in competing. You'll always be somebody where it's like, hey, bro, this is when the game plan comes. This is that person or this is those people that we really need to look out for. And we're on the way. I'll tell you that much. But look. Last thing before we get up out of here, right, is we're going to talk about receivers. There was an article that came out talking about predicting. Let me actually mute this before it gets too loud. Here we go. Predicting what the receiving core is going to look like come week 1, right? This is from NBC Sports Washington, Pete Haley. A lot of people in the fan base is familiar with him. And the 4 people that he really mentioned, he had a tier ranking, and the tier, his top tier is the "We'll see you in week 1," which is Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown, Adam Humphries. And this is where things get aunchy, right? We're talking about we'll probably see you in week 1 tier, and there's one person, and it's Cam Sims. We already know who the top 4 are. We know that they're going to be around. Cam Sims is interesting to me. We don't have the full conversation on Cam, but because there's 4 other guys that is on these bottom tiers. But Cam Sims is a guy where it's like you don't like he's a tweener in a sense. We don't know what he's gonna look like this upcoming season because of the people behind him and Gandy Golden, Dax Milne, Kelvin Harmon, all these guys that's kind of question marks from 2020. They're coming back. Cam Sims is kind of proven himself that he has something there in 2020, but at the same time, he hasn't done enough his first 3 seasons collectively to say that he's around, like that he needs to be here for the 2021 season. Anyway, you got Cam Sims in a tier by itself, and then you have Steven Sims, AGG, Dax Milne, Kelvin Harmon, Isaiah Wright, and a get ready to grind tier. My question to you all, just in general, because we don't have to go through all the list, right? My question is, Steven Sims, AGG, Dax Milne, Kelvin Harmon, Isaiah Wright. There's going to be some people, because there's a fan base that loves each and every one of these guys. Which are the 2 that's probably on the outside looking in terms of a roster spot?
I'll go with Steven Sims. Definitely out of here. I'm almost thinking AGG might be out of here too. It just really depends on how good of a training camp he has. But, you also got to factor in with him. He got drafted during, a crazy time, but didn't have, like, the off-season workouts like they typically would. So maybe that might help him a little bit more getting acclimated with the game. But out of that list, I mean, I see Harmon making the team. I see Isaiah Wright making the team, special teams-wise. But, with Steven Sims, you can't play him outside. So bringing in Adam Humphries and Curtis Samuel, you have 2 guys that can play the slot and do it pretty good. There's really no room for Steven Sims. You also drafted Diami Brown from UNC. He can return kickoffs, punt returns. Yeah, I can't see him making the team. Harmon, I think they trust him as an overall guy that will do whatever. Physical guy. I think he gets another shot, but I can't really see. I don't even know who the other guys you mentioned were, but yeah, they ain't making the team. I can't see Steven Sims making the 53.
Is Harmon changing positions, AJ? You think they'll be asking him to try and see conversion in order to find a fit here on this team?
I don't see that. I think people think they're playing Madden too much, man. Like, you can't, in Madden, you can put somebody at any position, you know what I mean? In real life, you can't ask someone that's been playing wide receiver their whole life and pretty good, on the collegiate level, right, high school, to now come in and play tight end, like, or fullback. Like, nah, that's crazy. Like, that's asinine. Your whole workout regimen is to play wide receiver. You can't just change overnight. I just think, they got to get acclimated with him. He got to get acclimated with them. Yeah, it takes a special individual to do that. But I don't see him. I've been hearing about H-back, and I'm like, nah, y'all tripping. This ain't Madden. So, like, yeah, at the end of the day, I think he'll be good. But I also feel like this team needs another wide receiver, a veteran wide receiver. I don't know who else is available, but probably – I don't know. I'm into getting dogs, like I said, bro. June 1st come around, I'm trying to get Julio. Even if I can't get Aaron Rodgers, I'm trying to bring Julio in here some way, somehow, because you need dogs. The more dogs you have, like, imagine you add a Julio into this offense, even with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It now opens up the running lanes for Antonio Gibson even more. Terry McLaurin is nice. We like him, because he plays for our team. But he really not posing no threat to no defense at this point in his career yet. You know what I mean? But you add another guy like Julio Jones, man, the sky's the limit. It don't matter who really playing quarterback back there. It could be either one of us. Like, you just need more dogs. So I'm just curious. I think they know they need some more wide receivers as well, because you can't go into the season with Curtis Samuel, Adam Brown, Adam Humphries, and Terry McLaurin as your starting, well, not your starters, but your 53-man wide receivers. Nah, you can't do that. Because if Terry go down, what you gonna do?
Now, AJ has a point, but I also disagree in the sense that you can't go in the season with what they have now. I think you absolutely can go into the season with what they have now, because what did they go in with last season? Who was that guy? The older guy that I can't even think. He was a bum.
Inman.
Yeah, Inman,
Yeah,
Dontrell Inman. He was their second wide receiver last year. Now you talking about Diami Brown. I haven't seen him play one snap of football in the NFL, but I will
I hear where it's
absolutely
going.
take him over Dontrell Inman right now. Right now, I'm taking him over Dontrell Inman. Dontrell Inman he didn't even know his responsibilities.
That's crazy.
In week 14 or week 15 of the season
I ain't
on
gonna
certain
lie.
plays. So
I thought before he played, I thought he was good, and then I quickly found out that he was good because of Phillip Rivers, not because he was actually good. That was so
he
frustrating.
was okay. He had he wasn't a guy that built on what he got.
It looked like Phillip Rivers told him what route to run, how many yards to run it,
Right.
when to put your hands up for the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, to answer your question, I mean, you look at the wide receiver depth chart. You got Terry, Curtis Samuel, Donnie Brown, and probably Adam Humphries as locks. Now that's four people that's lost. Now this is probably the position group I'm most excited to watch. In this upcoming training camp, just to see what happens, because I feel like this is the position you have a lot. This is the position where a guy like Cam Sims, who's fighting for the fifth wide receiver spot, will be your number 2 on a normal Washington football team roster on a normal
Which
day.
is wild to say.
So.
Yes.
Exactly, but normally he's probably your number. He's fighting for a number 2 spot.
Yep.
Now he's fighting for a number 5 spot. So you're going to have a guy or two just cut on this wide receiver court that fans are going to cry about. They're going to bitch about. They're going to say, "Oh well, we should have kept this guy. He was this, that, and the third in preseason." So you're going to have a couple, which is good here. We're not used to that. We're not used to cutting guys that we feel like will probably do something in the NFL, because normally these guys are fighting for the number 2 spot on our team, or number 1 spot in some cases. But as far as odd man looking in, I have my favorites. Like, I actually like the kid from BYU, Dax Milne. I feel like he's probably what you wanted Trey Quinn to be. That's what they wanted a Trey Quinn to be. I mean, he looks like a guy that can, he played with Zach Wilson in BYU. Kelvin Harmon, I still haven't seen it. Yeah, I mean, sure, he was nice at NC State. He made a couple of catches in a 3-13 season, but he was injured last season. I haven't seen it yet. Cam Sims, he looked decent playing above his head. I think he played above his head a lot in a lot of games last year. So he's a chance, certainly, at the fifth receiver spot. AGG, he may can take a leap. Who knows? I mean, that's a guy, so it's going to be competition. That's, like I said, the wide receiver group is the competition I'm looking most forward to, because I feel like after the 4 maybe lock spots, you got 4 or 5 guys that's fighting for 2 spots, and I believe any of them can make it. I wouldn't be shocked.
So catching up on a couple of comments, Jared is funny. I low key agree with you, but he mentioned Steven as in Steven Sims got to go. Disco mentioned Paulson said that AGG could be. Now this is crazy, but I'm gonna read it. He says AGG could be an elite tight end if he makes the switch. He likes him better than Harmon as a convert. Look, I ain't gonna lie to you, Disco, because I know you're just relaying the message, right? So I'm not talking to you. There is no way in hell I'm gonna use the elite word for a guy named AGG who looked scared and he had no idea he was even playing football last year on the football field. Like he looked so out of touch on the field, and it was so bad that I was gonna give him some slack. Like, I don't know what he was doing last year. In my head, I may be over exaggerating to some of y'all, but I'm dead ass serious. I did not know what he was doing. I don't think he knew what he was doing. I'm gonna cut him some slack and just hope that things change for the better for him. I'm not going to use the elite word. I think Logan Paulson, I listen to him sometimes. He's good, but that shit, if he used the elite word for AGG, tell him, what I'm saying, tell him drink some water, okay? Because he done lost it. Drink some water. And then he said, lastly, I think a good way to look at it is how good the team would be if McLaurin. I'm following, But he said he think a good way to look at it is how good would this team be if McLaurin or Samuel went down. I guess essentially talking about the depth on this team. I don't if McLaurin or Samuel goes down, I'm not very confident at that group. I ain't gonna lie to you. But yeah, I think for me, Dre, you had spoke on just the sense of like players in general, right? I'm not. Cam Sims is one of my favorite guys, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, but I know I talk about him a lot, but he's in a tough situation here, and I will be it will be completely understandable if this is one of those years where he's just not there in terms of like the amount of competition that he has around him. Because let's not forget, in Disco, you mentioned this. Cam Sims is replaceable, and I agree 100%. He is replaceable, and it doesn't help when, even if you are a playmaker, your hands are just as inconsistent as Steven Sims. Like both you guys have shaky hands, and that does not help your case. If you got some of these newer guys, and Kelvin Harmon, who was great with the catching traffic, contested catches, like that's what he did. And you have this guy coming back. You have some unknowns coming to this team ready to compete in 2021. And if y'all aren't ready for that type of competition, it's not that hard to move you away from the fifth spot. Like it's not that hard for them. So we're talking about the back end of the roster for that position. You say Dax Milne. I need to get a little bit more familiar with him. I'll take your word for it. It'll be interesting to see how he plays out, but I do want to take a look at him. But
Jamal, not to cut you off, but there is another guy that a lot of people aren't talking about that the Washington football team actually signed. This is a big deal to me,
okay,
because we drafted a long snapper. If you draft a long snapper, you're looking for exactly positions you need, and you want these guys to play a position. But a lot of people aren't talking about that the Washington football team signed a kickoff return, punt return specialist this offseason, DeAndre Carter. I mean, he plays wide receiver too.
Oh, yeah.
But they literally signed a kickoff return, punt return specialist that played at Houston this past year. And that was one of their free agent signings. That guy might be a lock on this team. And that's a threat to Steven Sims, a guy like Steven Sims.
I agree. Steven Sims, and truth be told, Isaiah Wright, because Isaiah Wright was a person who can return punts and kicks. So you have a lot of people at that position who can immediately become expendable if a DeAndre Carter, because I'm not familiar with him either. But if a guy like DeAndre Carter is capable of returning punts and special teams, kickoffs immediately, if he can showcase that.
He did it all year for Houston last year. He was their starting kick all year.
He puts Isaiah Wright, he puts Steven Sims, he puts those guys in immediate jeopardy. And so yeah, I agree. It was an angle that I didn't think about, and Disco clearly agrees with you as well. But yeah, it's kind of that's unique, man. And Steven Sims is already boxed in the corner because he's a slot guy. So if you ain't outperforming Humphreys, Curtis Samuel, Diami, because I guess Diami can play outside and in the slot, I guess. But if you ain't outperforming these guys, then you already kicking the can, man. You up out of here, bro. You up out of here, man. All right. Let's see. Hey, that looks like it's it, fellas. Y'all got anything y'all want to talk about before we get up out of here? Y'all good to go. I'm saying no more stories about past
all day, but we ain't gonna hold everybody else up all day.
For sure, man. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing what comes out of rookie minicamp this week for the Washington football team. See how new linebacker, does, and seeing if they're gonna put him at the Will or the Mike. They still got John Bostic.
Yes, sir. They still got John.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna find out.
That means he's probably gonna be at the Will.
Either Cole or what's his name? Jamin. Will or Mike. Will or Sam.
They love them some Cole Holcomb, and I do not know what is good with that. I feel like he has all the intangibles, but he don't have football speed. Like, he don't have the IQ for it yet. Like, he's more so of a reactionary player. Like, it got to come to him to make a play. Like, he don't go make a play on his own. Like, so
I see
frustrating.
it like the quarterback who got to see the receiver get open first before he throw it.
Yeah. Like, bro, go make a play, hit the gap. Like, I don't know. That's a side topic, but
I get it.
they
Yeah,
definitely love him though.
they do. I'm actually rooting for him. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I do have concerns because his first 2 years, like he sticks out because he makes big hits, but that doesn't have a lot to do with the parts that you're talking about in which he does struggle. But I'm in his corner. I put it that way. And yeah, Disco, like Dre said, that's AJ's Twitter. And obviously, you know Dre's. You already know Dre's Twitter. But yeah, we're all on Twitter, man. And for those who are still in before we get up out of here, if you are watching this and you have not followed the Twitch channel, man, do us a favor, do me a favor, just go ahead and click the follow button right quick. It takes 2 seconds. And then obviously on the podcast version, if you're listening on the podcast, rate and subscribe to us, man. That takes 2 seconds too. If you write a review, I don't know what that does, but you know what I'm saying? Give us some feedback. It can be bad feedback. I don't appreciate it, you know what I'm saying? But I appreciate it at the same time. Feedback is feedback. but yeah, man. We're gonna get up out of here, bro. Dre, AJ, man, good talking to you all. Chat, I appreciate everybody who was involved, man. Good show. Appreciate y'all for giving y'all input and y'all feedback, bro. We're gonna catch. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. I keep forgetting that. I'm gonna be back tomorrow for the All 32, and then we'll be back next week for some more Washington football talk. Hopefully, we got a guest lined up for y'all, but we're gonna keep that under wraps until everything's confirmed and all that good stuff because we learn our lessons. But yeah, peace. Appreciate y'all for watching. All that good stuff. We out of here.
Absolutely.
All right.